Welcome to Zunda channel. My name is Jackson. Zunda is a YouTube channel where our guests share their success experiences, what we call the Zunda moment. If you have achieved academic success, professional success, business success, charity, or you have a successful marriage, and as a couple, you're willing to share your success journey with us, please send us an email at zundachannel@gmail.com. zundachannel@gmail.com. We believe your success story is so powerful and can help somebody, particularly young people who we work with. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that we can notify you. Right on the below here, there's a button. Click on it, please, or tap on it so that we can notify you when your new videos are available. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for today's guests. Right, okay, so here we are now. Right, okay, so thank you very much, Linda, for accepting to join us today on Zunda channel. Yeah, and as usual, my name is Jackson Monga from Zunda channel. We run this channel to inspire young people who are trying to get into IT or any other field, that they aspire to study. It could be in medicine, nursing, or any other, careers that they want to pick up, So the role of this, broadcast is actually to help young people, those we work with, in particular in developing countries and in South America, Africa, and Asia as well, and even here in the UK as well. So I'd like to welcome our guest today. Today we have got a young man who is just starting his career as well in IT, and I just want him actually to introduce himself, before we can go in deeper in our program today. Yes, can you tell us who you are and what's your name? So first of all, what's your name?
First and foremost, thanks for the lovely introduction and the intro, the lovely intro. That's too much, too many credits there. But yeah, my name is Medenda Handongwe. Currently based in the northwest of England, UK, Manchester to be precise. I was well, just a little background about myself. I obviously was born and was born in Zambia. And born and raised in Zambia, and then migrated to the UK when I was I'm talking, I think I was 2006, so I would have been at least 12, 13 years or something if my maths is right, along those numbers. And so pretty much been half Zambia, and then half and half. And so then the rest has just been history. So now we're here. So
okay, thank you very much. And now I know you are born in Zambia, and could you tell me about the worst part of your childhood that you would remember?
The worst experience of my childhood, or the worst bits of my childhood?
The worst experience that you could have gone through.
I think the worst thing for me at the time was because at the time I was born in the Copper Belt. I was born in Mufulira. So I think for me the hardest transition was obviously living, as a child, living all your friends, living all your school, just living the adaptation of the environment that I got used to. And for me, it was quite hard going to the big city of which was the capital, which was Lusaka. And for me, I found it really hard to adjust because obviously both my parents are, are Tonga-speaking parents, of which is based in the southern part of the country. And obviously I grew up, speaking the native language there, of which is Bemba. And I found it quite hard to adjust to speak to another language, of which was Chinyanja, of which is the local language in Lusaka. So I found it quite difficult to mingle around with people, because if I didn't, I was always that child that if I didn't know you, I didn't have to speak to you. That was just my mannerism. And for me, it was quite easy to obviously adapt. I always found it easy to learn things and pick up things quite quick. Because I'm more of a visual learner, so what I see is what I sort of pick up on quite quick. And gradually, as I obviously moved to Lusaka, for me, yeah, that's when I realized, okay, I had a bigger family in Lusaka, and it was easier for me to see both my parents, family side, both, because they're both from the southern province. Whereas my mom is from Chikankata, Mazabuka, and then my dad was from Choma, Choma, Livingston. So it made sense for me to see my family that were based in Kabwe, in central province and stuff like that. So I think for me, that was one of the most challenging things, but also a blessing in disguise, because I got to meet my other cousins who I heard of, but that they finally got to see him. But for me, that was one of the biggest challenges as a teenager at the time. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you are in IT. You're just starting in IT.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I believe you are actually doing a very good job as a professional. Yeah, well, as just somebody who is beginning. How did you come up with the idea of actually starting in IT? I know you went to university, so
yeah.
How can you just join the dot for us,
Okay.
from university up to the time you're doing your profession as at now in IT?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, certainly. Just to give a brief how my IT started, I actually my dream job as a kid was to become a pilot. That's what I've always wanted, and that's why I saw myself doing, and that's probably one of the dream job. Obviously, being a pilot, costs quite a bit of money. I mean, to do the training itself, you need at least 70 to 80,000 pounds or $80,000 or whatever currency you want to convert it to. So at the time, I thought, left school in 2009 with very little to no GCSEs, and then I ended up having to repeat my GCSEs when I went to college. So I started off doing because at the time the only course they could put you on was either public services or do IT. So I thought, maybe there's a bit of money in IT. So at the time I was in, my beautiful loving mother said, listen, computers, there'll always be money in computers because everything is going digital and all these backups and whatever. So I didn't understand what she meant, but she meant the cloud, because cloud technology and stuff. So that's how I volunteered to do the level 2, and then obviously worked completed my functional skills to improve my GCSE maths and English, and then moved over to do my level 3. So being a teenager at the time, I just wanted to be teenagers, and I just got on the wrong path with the wrong people, starting around with the wrong people. Then I got kicked out of college whilst I was doing my level 3 to go into university. So all my friends moved on to do apprenticeships, university, all that good stuff. So I took a whole year out just to make me realize, okay, I need to actually do something myself. And then with that being said, at the time my mom was sort of being the motivational pusher to sort of, no, make sure you go to college, make sure you up this stuff. And then that 1 year that I took, that's when my batteries in my head sort of switched on and said, you know what, it's either me or nobody else. And then that's how I ended up reapplying at the Manchester College to re-begin my level 3 in IT. I think it was IT and business systems or something. And I did that course for 2 years, graduated with double distinction merit. And at the time, I didn't realize that you could also go down the vocational route of doing apprenticeships, of which I wish I'd known earlier. And then that's how I ended up going to the University of Huddersfield to do, I think the course I applied for was pen testing and the ethical hacking. But at the time, the program got withdrawn because there wasn't enough students that actually enrolled for the course. So that led for the course to be withdrawn, and then everybody else that applied for that course got merged into one massive course called Web Technologies, on how to build. At the time, they were teaching SQL Server, how to do SQL, and at the time they were teaching us how to do HTML and HTML5, because at the time that's when HTML5 was the thing. And they were teaching us, CSS and all that good stuff. So then I thought to myself, I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I want to. I had, my heart was pounding towards, pen testing, because I wanted to learn, how you can stop criminals breaking into database. How do details get compromised? So obviously it was careers day in Union. They asked us, I said, Medenda, what do you want to be on your order? And then I said, I want to learn how to break into computers. Everyone just laughed as if I was crazy. I said, this guy just wants to learn how to steal people's details so he can become something. Then I said, no, I know there's jobs out there. Like I'm not trying to sound, a bit silly, but then my lecturer said, there's actually, jobs for people, companies pay people, pen testers and, cyber analysts and stuff like that. Then I was like, you know what? Uni is not for me. And that very day I realized I just dropped out straight away. Without having no backup plans, no nothing. I ended up dropping out within the same year. Went to Bolton University the same year. Applied for computer science, and it was linked to pen testing. Then as I was doing the course, I did realize that it became a bit challenging because mentally I wasn't mature enough to actually enjoy the course itself. So I thought, I've just been studying back and forth, and I was mentally depleted. And then from there, that's how I ended up going through the apprenticeship route with a company called QA Apprenticeships. And that's how my career began, doing IT support. And then obviously that's how I ended up getting my qualifications from there to obviously move into IT support. Then from IT support, I'd done that for a year and 2 months. And then fast forward, I spoke to one of my IT managers. He just advised me, he said, look, trying to get your CompTIAs done, your A+ and your fundamentals, and then from there look at what field you want to sort of go into, and then obviously get your experiences. Then as you're getting your experience as well, from there it will give you a blueprint of saying, okay, the basics of how to work within IT itself, and have your basic CompTIAs and your N+ and such and such. You know how to administrate servers, how to do image servers, server deployment, deploying jobs on servers, adding pieces on computers on a domain and all that good stuff. And it's been like that. So I've been at it for, I would say, a good 3.5 years, 4 years now. So
excellent.
Yeah.
That's very good. So in a nutshell, yeah, that's a very good background you've just given me. So in your current position, what are your responsibilities in your role?
Yeah, sure. So basically my company, the current organization I'm with now, they're an education they're within the education sector. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for, education sector. So they offer and manage exams on behalf of different clients. So it could be an example, delivering Microsoft exams, CompTIA exams, Cisco exams for all their clients all over the world. So we could be looking after their client could be based in Malaysia. They've got test centers all over the world. So my day-to-day job is to ensure that the infrastructure of my company from a service desk level. So service desk level is like, the simplest form to put it is like customer service, but in an IT support role. That's the simplest way I can put it. So my day-to-day job simply consists of, you get one of our staff ring up to say they're having issues with a particular computer from a different side. So then I'll remote RDP, so remote desktop, into one of the server's IP, and then from there look at what the issue is. And then on there could be different other issues where, like, the deployment console that we have is called Ultras within in all our servers. So then I'll probably look at if any jobs have the auto script logon that does this auto restart for all the machines all over the different servers, does this job and all that stuff. So it varies really. It could be a bit standard basic password reset, somebody's email is not in sync, the VPN the VPN is not connecting quite well. They've had a refresh with Windows 10, and then obviously some icons are not missing. The icons are not missing. They're unable to access our internal internet. So it could vary. Adding a printer onto the network, that type of stuff, and yeah.
Right. Okay, excellent. That's very good. So now in IT, it's a very fast-paced environment.
Yeah.
So in the past 3 years, you've been working in your career, particularly in your role.
Yeah.
What major changes have you seen, that has actually taken place?
One of the biggest, the one that hit me by surprise. I didn't take in seriousness how quick everything will migrate to the cloud. And the other one is how serious companies and a lot of organizations and institutes are taking cybersecurity extremely serious, because I think with the whole lockdown and with the whole current unfortunate but uncertain times that we're currently in, it's given companies and even people that work within, like I myself, give us an eye opener to say companies weren't really aware too much of GDPR and or being certified for ISO 2000 2001 and that type of stuff.
2700.
Yeah, 2700. Yeah, sorry, that's one I was looking for. So and also a lot of managers also had to be recertified in terms of obviously being in compliance with GDPR, because we have to do a lot of security training ourselves, because basic training, like, okay, what is tailgating, all the basic, but for me personally, it was the migration from obviously using the old legacy systems to actually migrating onto the cloud, because we do a lot of virtualization and server, everything is all cloud based, and to me that was just like, okay, there's this system for this, we have this system for this, we've got Citrix applications that sit on another platform, and then we've got such and such. So like one of our American clients, everything is all cloud based. Here in the UK, we can actually you can actually go to the switch, you're using Fortinet, go to the to the rack itself, and you play around with RJ45 cable, such and such. But when we're dealing with complex cloud-based systems, it's like, oh, okay, now this is a different ball game. And then that just opened my eyes, like, okay, yeah, there is a lot there. So like it's like now in the deep end, swimming with the big sharks. So yeah. I think for me that was where the eye opened. I was like, okay, I think I'm not as good as I thought I was. Now this is where I started scratching my head. I was like, okay, it's time to start reading and stuff. But yeah, I think for me that was a real eye opener and a real challenge. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, IT is very fast paced, so that's why, I always tell particularly people who join us in IT, tell them that, in order for you to stay relevant in IT, you've got to keep ahead with education.
Absolutely. That one there, I can be a testimony to that one 1,000,000%. Before, actually, I even forgot to mention at the very beginning also, is that before I was doing IT, actually I was in another career totally. I was head of security at this couple of venues and nightclubs within Manchester. So at the time, while I still was working 40-50 hours a week, I was also studying to get my course to get into IT. And then when I knew that it was the right time for me to retire and leave that, because obviously it was a situation where I would work from Wednesday till Sunday, and then after that my body clock was all over the place. I had social hours, and then it took a toll on my body. As I got older, it took me a while to readjust to office life. When I see people drinking coffee, I'm like, why are you guys drinking coffee? Then by 12 o'clock, my body is shaking, because that's my peak time to go to bed. And when it's nighttime, I'm wide awake, and it took a toll on me. And I think that was one of my biggest challenges, trying to readjust my body upside down.
Exactly. Yeah, so now looking at your profession, in IT, so what has been the greatest success so far? I know you are still an infant in as far as IT is concerned.
Absolutely, yeah.
But at least you should have some success. Have you been involved in the certain projects at your work or in your career? So what are in success so far you can pinpoint that this is exactly what I feel I succeeded in?
Yeah, actually, I think this was a couple of weeks ago. Actually, we had I think 2 new starters, and obviously in the organization, there are people that have got their strengths and they've got their weaknesses. So my manager sort of knew, like, I've had exposure to other complicated systems, so it's easier for me to actually understand how obviously the way the business model works in terms of like how different applications sort of work. So while as I was working as well, somebody was, one of the new starters was sort of shadowing me, and then obviously I've actually been promoted to be a team leader now, to actually oversee these 2 new starters. So the company seen potential and said, no, actually, what, even though he may be slightly young, he's his level of knowledge and experience is quite mature, because as I'm dealing with certain situations, they knew how confident I was, well articulated and well spoken in terms of how to resolve certain situations and actually provide, adequate advice in terms of like, okay, this is the cost efficient way of dealing with this, for us not to have a massive outage and a massive meeting different SLA targets and stuff. This is what we need to do to actually run efficient. So when we're doing when you guys are, when NOC simply means network for people that don't know. If not, while it's NOC are busy doing deployment work with the servers and dismantling things, can they do it on the weekend when there's less surge of calls? And then obviously give us, ask, people that work on services to leave us some notes to say, okay, guys, this is what we're broken, this is what's been fixed, and this is what's that. So I sort of, implemented, that structure, and then obviously it worked well for us because we knew what type of calls will be coming in on a Monday when you log in and stuff. So it comes in quite handy when you're like, this was working, and then you're thinking, hang on, somebody has pulled the plug that was not meant to be pulled over the weekend.
I remember, Monday mornings when I was doing IT support 10 years ago. Yeah, I used to hate Monday mornings because people come up with it's like when they go to drink over the weekend, they drink all the passwords together.
They're drinking all the cookies, everything.
Yes.
A lot. And the worst thing is when you have database issues and then your SQL is not working, this is not working, this is pointing to another location, and then you're like, who is doing this? Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So in short, what's your user base? Like, do you have 2,000-3,000 users?
I would say we'll probably have, I think close to like maybe 70 to 80,000, 80,000.
That's Pearson around the world, eh?
Yeah, that's Pearson around the world, yeah. So you have to bear in mind that when we have got, I think three regions. So you've got so you got the USA, yeah, and then obviously you got the East and West Coast, yeah. So and then obviously then after that you've got EMEA and EMEA, which is Europe and Africa.
Europe, yes, yeah.
And then obviously you got APAC. That's like
the Asia Pacific, the China and the
Asia Pacific and whatever. And then you've also got Australia, such and such. And so obviously with all the we've got different agents, different time zones. So I'm based in the EMEA region. So sometimes what will happen is after 12, when it's like 1 o'clock in the American side, you probably be like 7, 8 o'clock. So that's when you start getting a surge, of course. So what we see a sort of increment where when it's about 1, 2 o'clock, the UK becomes a bit quiet because lunchtime, nothing's broken, no one is complaining that this printer, whatever. And then when it's, when it gets to a certain time, 2, 3 o'clock, that's when okay, the Americans are up now. So that's when, and then obviously when our shifting pattern finishes, the APAC guys and the Asian guys would have finished for the day. They usually finish about, and then obviously the American carry on. So it's like 24 hours around the clock, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's how, so.
Yeah, I need. I did support such type of work at some point when I worked for a NASDAQ. I think I've heard of NASDAQ. Yeah.
Yeah, NASDAQ. Yeah, the part on the what index is it now?
The New York Stock Exchange, actually.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that type of support, around the world in different time zones. So it's when I was working for the bank, I was doing it, but mostly I was just involved with the UK actually.
Oh yeah, because they usually put you in the EMEA region. So yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So moving forward with our discussion today. So what are your proudest moments so far in your career?
So far, I think my proudest moment has been the endurance while going through because the certifications and obviously trying to go from one road to another and obviously trying to be in a position where like, okay, what the revision I did and the exams that I undertook were worth the sleepless nights, going through, all the training resources, and then being able to be in a position where I can pass on my knowledge and wisdom to somebody, who was once like me. And for me, I want people to look at me like, or use me as a case study to say, okay, if this guy, who was a bouncer, when you go to like a restaurant or nightclub or whatever, or wherever you want to go, when you see when you see somebody there, you think, how the hell can a guy go from a transition of being a mostly monster to become a techie guy? Like, how does one make the massive transition? And for me, it's just to show that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. If it means so much to you, you'll find a way to make it, and the universe and God will just make it happen for you. And and for me, that's just been my testimony. And like, I've been there and I've done. It's not been easy. It's not been the easiest journey. It just didn't happen. Okay, but then here today, you've got you're now second line for this and such and such. So for me, I think that's been my proudest moment. I think just the endurance of persevering and sticking at it, because any rational person would said, no, it's not even worth it. Let me just give it up, because I gave up once and I told myself I'm not going to give up again. So I'm not going back. I'm not going back. Yeah. So
no, you see, quitters actually never win. So
yeah, absolutely.
Never quit in life. Just persevere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's been my. I think no certification or no qualification or certificate with my name on it can say that okay, yes, Mr. Handongo, you've received such a qualification, whatever. That anyone can receive that, but I think for me it's the persevering that has been my proudest, because like I said, any rational person would have just said, tomorrow is another day, I'll figure it out tomorrow. But I just kept it on, and I am where I am, and I've still got a long. Like I said, I've got a long way to go. So
definitely, I've got a long way to go.
Absolutely.
So okay, who has been the biggest influence so far in your life? Looking back.
Oh, looking back, there's a few, to be honest, but I think my biggest influence was is and still is, I think it's my mother. No, it's my son first, and then mama, and then both of my parents. Because I think for me, the biggest eye opener for me was I went to my when he graduated from nursery, and then he had his little gown on and whatever. So I remember when I was younger, when my younger brother graduated, I said, Dent, I want to see you also graduate. I said, no, you know what, Mom? University was never for me, but I'll find a way, one or the other. And then when I was in a position where I'm in now, when she said, okay, you know what you're doing. So for that, it made her proud. But back to the subject now. When I seen, my son graduate from nursery, and then he said, Daddy, I've graduated now. I'm a man. And then to me, I think that was it made me shed a tear a little bit. I said, either that was a really proud moment. He came with a little certificate. He said, oh, look, I've graduated. And I was like, oh dear, I've got another 18 years to go. But anyway. So I think that was one of my proudest moments, and I think to me gave me a wake up call to, like, that's where the persevering and the determination came from. Said, I have no reason to quit, because somebody there, it's not what I tell them to say, do A, B, C, D. It's what they see in you, and those are the traits that they pick up and take it from there. So I think that's been my
very good. Now, looking at your journey through a professional side of it, who has been your greatest mentor to give you the heads up to where you are now? Have you been aspiring anyone, or have you been mentored by anybody?
No, I'll say yes and no. For the yes bit, yes, that there have been some people that have seen the potential in me and said, you know what, this is the right way to go about things. For what you want to do, consider doing such, getting these qualifications, try and use this learning material, try and start. There's some courses you can do on LinkedIn. There's some good online colleges, and there's some not so good online colleges that say they'll give you this and then they'll give you that. So there have been some people, and one of them actually being I think he was my former tutor actually. He was in college, and then he advised, he said, look, Melinda, if you go down the Cisco route, you can either become a network engineer or start dealing with networks and such and such. But if you want that, office desk job where you're overseeing people, he said you can do a customer service based, or it's called IT support, and then work your way. The more experience you get, because in this day and age, it's not about how qualified you are, but you have to back the experience, because experience and qualification go hand in hand. You can have, you could have, a strip of certification, but if there is no workload, there's no workload factor. That experience, it means all that means nothing. And my other big mentor has been yourself, because I've followed your journey and how you've the boxes you've ticked, and then when I look at your color, and I was like, wow, that's inspirational right there. No, honestly, seriously, like when I look at some of the things that you've achieved, and and some of the things you're still achieving, but it sort of gave me motivation. He said, if Uncle Jackson can do it, then why? I mean, obviously considering from the era when you went back to school, and compared to the material and obviously the resources that we have now in our generation, where information is out there freely. Back then you had to read tons of books, but nowadays you can just have it on your smartphone when it's convenient for you. You have because for me, I found it really find it even now difficult to read a lot of documents. I'm more of a visual learner, so once I'm visualizing things, that's how I sort of remember things, and that's how it's really clicked for me, really.
Yeah, actually, IT has become very easy these days.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you see, when I started, we used to do most of the things were based on command lines, Yeah, like Windows 95, Windows 98, and all the servers and so forth. Those were all very, very complicated stuff,
Yeah.
But nowadays, things are very, very easy.
Yeah.
I look at probably young people that are joining IT today, and then they're struggling, to do certain things. So I just wonder. In our days, things were really, really tough.
Yeah. Do you know what? I can actually only imagine, because I think for me, the fact that I was actually always clued on with stuff, and when I've seen the massive transition on when I started trying to be in the position where I'm at now, things were slightly different. Like, I remember the first command that I learned was how to connect onto a server using DOS. That's how I, and then from there, I was like, okay, I can, do it in Windows. Let me see if I can, learn another, distro. I started learning Ubuntu. Then from Ubuntu, from there, I moved on to Backtrack, then Backtrack 5, and then after Backtrack 5 got changed, it went to Kali Linux, and then everything just became. And then now when I see guys, what's what's DHCP, what's DNS? Why do I need to? And I was like, you guys I'm like, how can you be struggling? It's just, but anyway, it's a different era. It's a different era. So I can imagine it from your era, from back then. Then when I see the guys now, like, oh no, this is difficult. How do I do a password reset? How do I add a computer to the domain? I said, oh dear me. dear.
Yeah, no, it's become very, very easy these days. So now, who has been the kindest so far in your life?
Who has been the kindest?
Have you met anybody who has been so kind in your professional or in your family side of things?
Yeah, career-wise, I'll forever be thankful to the first actually IT company I worked for. It was a telecoms company called Involsys. And from there, because at the time when I did all my certifications, they gave me a lot of exposure to a lot of things in telecoms that I didn't even know. I didn't know about nothing about lease lines, broadband, PTSD, what you call this MKM, with different type of broadbands there is, there's business pro, all that type of stuff. And for me, I thought I knew everything, going with my qualifications. Got my CompTIA, look at me. And then they really threw me at the deep end. And then I was grateful because they obviously the money aspect of it, I didn't really care because I was only there for the experience. And they'll fly me to Southampton every week. So I'll fly there on a Monday early morning, and then come back. They'll pay for my accommodation, and then obviously I'll fly back to Manchester on a Friday. And they gave me exposure to a lot of, on the telecom sector, and how they, how obviously different things, work with communications, how different phone lines and how all the lines are mapped around all the communication lines are mapped, and how different internet service providers work, and how your internet should be working at home. So it gave me a real open, and I'll forever be grateful for that company, because they gave me the bread and butter to be in a position where I'm at now. So I am grateful. And the other thing, I'm grateful for my parents, because both of my parents, because they installed values in me that I don't think no qualification or no amount of money can actually, because I'm out forever. Because without them, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't even be here, to be honest. So I owe them, I owe them big time, because they made the decision for both myself and my younger brother to make a better life for ourselves. And I'll forever be grateful for that. So I'm grateful for my family, the advice they give me, the wisdom they give me, even though they may be, this is the new generation, but wisdom is wisdom. You that's something you can't buy. Yes. Regardless if they're villagers or not, or less educated than I am, but wisdom, you can't put a price on wisdom. So I'm grateful.
No, you can't. Yes, there's no price. Yeah. That's a very good answer. Yes, that's very good answer. So now, what lessons have you learned so far in life? I know you're still a young man. That's just but definitely, I know you have some experiences that you can actually share with others. So what have you learned so far in life? Lessons have you learned so far in life?
I think one of the big lessons I've learned in life, timing and patience are everything. But patience, being patient in a way that you realize that you're being patient, but not also sitting there hoping that miracles will just happen, because miracles don't happen. Miracle and laziness don't go hand in hand. You have to work. Because I see people saying, "Oh no, I'll just pray to God and then God will do this." No, laziness and prayer don't go hand in hand. You have to put in the work, and the rest will follow. And
actually, the Bible says those who are lazy should not eat at all. Anyway,
you did not eat at all. Exactly. So, that also. And I also realized that growing up, obviously, I didn't know what milestones was. I was growing up. Obviously, there's milestones you have as a boy when you think you're a man, and then you become a teenager and you think you're the man of the house, and then when you're in your early 20s you think you know the world, and then when you're in your late 20s you like different milestones with different. So that has told me to look at life like, okay, as your life moves on, time moves with it. So it's either you keep up with the times, or life itself, you start playing a catch-up game of where you start looking at yourself, oh, how come I've not achieved this? Because I spent time partying with my friends, or I spent time misbehaving. So as being a young man myself, we get caught up with peer pressure and peers doing certain things. Oh no, my friend is driving a Mercedes, whatever. Oh, my friend has got a mortgage or this, whatever. But not realizing how long it took him to get there, be in a position where they're at. Some of them started their careers quite early, and they were in a position of where they knew what they were doing. Some people are still discovering what their lives are about. So I think it's about discovering your purpose and what you want to establish and do with your life. And once you realize that, then you know the true meaning of who you really are. Because once you accept that, okay, I am then the hand of God. Okay, today I can't be bothered, or today no, I don't want to go to work. Once you discover that purpose of what it is that wakes you up and drives you, then you actually know who you really are. Then that is the real you. I think that's what I think. Yeah.
Excellent. That's it. So now, when in life have you felt so lonely?
When have I felt so lonely? There has been a couple of times actually, because I used to think all my friends that I grew up with when I was a teenager, my mid-20s, early 20s. I thought all these friends are going to stick around me, we'll do the same things, we'll do the same courses. And there was a period where my friends were, within the tech sector, I was seeking for assistance. Oh, can you, I'm struggling with this network question. When I do this simulation, the server doesn't work, such and such and such. And then it made me realize that, people come and go. Like I said, different people hit different milestones. Some people you may be ahead of people. Some people may be way, way ahead of you. And whilst I was going through that transition, I found it quite difficult to accept that people can just change, but not realizing that that's just how life is. People change as time goes on. And as time went on, I realized that, yeah, maybe actually I do feel alone. And sometimes the way up gets lonely sometimes, because not everybody makes it at the top. And I think once I, established that and realized that, it gave me an eye opening to say, it's you versus you. There's nobody else. What you put in is what you get out. So I think for me, that was when the realization, the switch on button just came on and said, okay, Mr. Handongo, this is you v you. At the end of the day, if you fail, it's on you. If you fail, you didn't prepare hard enough. If you succeed, then that's that. Then I always don't look at. I don't always look at. When I was young, I slightly looked at failure as, okay, I failed this, that, but not realizing that's what became my wisdom, and took it from there, and use that as a learning curve to say, okay, if this doesn't work, there's always, there's no problems, only solutions. There's no So that's just how I always see it that way. Yeah.
Right. Very good. Very good. So, do you like traveling? And if you do, which places have you visited? Either on holiday or just traveling for work?
Gosh, where have I traveled to? Everywhere. To be honest, everywhere. I have. Let me list the countries. So, this is the particular order actually. So, Tunisia, Egypt, Ireland, the Netherlands, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Cape Verde, South Africa, Malawi, Kenya, Tanzania, and Denmark. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Denmark. Right. And Portugal. Yeah, Portugal is the last place I visited not too long ago, actually. Yeah, so yeah, Portugal. So I'm still working on my tick list. Once restriction is because that's what I do. I love traveling. I love learning different cultures, meeting different people, and that as you sort of get inspired when because obviously when we're stuck in the UK, I've got friends that were born here and they don't even know where London is. They don't even know where Liverpool is, and I'm like, wow. When I tell some of my friends, when I'm speaking to one of our clients, they ask me, so where's your accent from? So I'm based in the UK. So no, you therefore sound like you're from Jamaica or something. I said no. I was born in Africa, but I migrated somewhere else. But yeah, I love traveling. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Yeah, actually, traveling opens your mind.
Absolutely.
You stop judging people by looking at their color. So you respect people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It opens up your horizon and you respect people massively. Exactly. Absolutely. That I can, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So if you could hold to some memories in your life, what could that be? That you want to keep holding.
I think my childhood memories. I had a good childhood memories. I think I could relive those memories because we're now in an era where everything is WhatsApp or TikTok. I didn't even know what TikTok was until my 9-year-old son said, "Daddy, TikTok, you can make videos." I said, "How are you 9 years old and you're teaching me about TikTok?" When I was your age, we used to play football with our toes, with our tropicals hanging out until I came from that era, not this TikTok era, and I think. The thing with this the current generation now, it's too digitalized. The kids nowadays have got so low self-esteem because they don't have social skills. Back then, I remember when I was like 10, 11, 12, me and my younger brother, we used to go out and get chased by dogs, and you come back and then your t-shirt is missing. Then your mother is there looking at you. What happened? They say nothing, no snitching, no telling what happened. those. Then I look back. I said, there's nothing of that nature now. It's a different world now. So I think I'd hold on to my childhood memories because I think our 90s era. I love that era. So yes.
They're precious. Eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, precious. Absolutely. When I see all these kids and then they tell me, "Oh, I was born in 2000. I'm 20." I was like, where has time gone? I remember what I was doing in 2000. I said, "Oh, I'm 20 now. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown woman." I said, And then they ask you, "So how old are you?" I said, "Let's just move on to the next question." Oh dear. It's a different era altogether.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. Now, when you look at your success so far from your professional perspective and even also from your general life, do you associate with any religious grouping or spiritual practices in your life, that you could say maybe has been part of your success? Do you associate with any spiritual practices?
Yeah, absolutely. I am both my parents SDA. For those that don't know what SDA means, is Seventh-day Adventist, and we worship on the Sabbath, of which is on a Saturday. And I was both parents were heavily involved when within the church, and they still are to this very day actually. And being brought up, obviously, I sort of personally deviated from going to church, but I'm a God-fearing person, so I believe I'm not just here for the sake of luck or for the sake of I believe God's hand has been in my life, and both in my family's life and both in my parents' life, and I'm grateful for that, because my parents installed that in both of me and my brother from a young age, and obviously we're told what's right and what's wrong. So from there we said, no, this is not godly living and such and such. So that's how that's my take on it.
Right. Okay, that's good. So if you imagine, if you didn't actually pick up your career, what you're doing now in IT, how do you imagine your life would have been?
I would have been doing something that made me travel the world, like getting paid to travel. Like if it was a position where I'll be jumping today. Okay, today I'm a week. I'm in Milan. A week. Okay, I'm in Egypt, such and such and such. And then I would definitely do something along those lines. To be honest, just something that because I love traveling. I think because the traveling disease came from my dad, because at the time in Zambia he worked for World Vision. So whenever he went on a trip, wherever he went, he used to get the company vehicle to pick us up. Okay, 1 minute we're in Choma, 1 minute we're in Livingstone, 1 minute we're in Mongo. So we used to travel all over Zambia, just all over. And I actually enjoyed that. I said, no, this is, all your friends, all your friends are being picked up, they're picked up. But me, I used to have my dad's company car come and pick us up from school, take us back. And then if my dad was in cab or whatever, the driver would drop us off there. So me and my would just always travel that. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the thrill of just traveling for work. You see my dad work and what he did, and then obviously he was a well-respected man. And then for me, I told myself, hang on a minute. I think when I'm old enough and I've got enough money to live by, buy a ticket and then go and experience culture somewhere. And I think I've met some of the most amazing people abroad, and learn different cultures and learn why people are how they are. Especially the biggest one was when I went to Spain and learned the Spanish culture, because I didn't realize there's the Catalan and there is what's this other Spanish. So there's like different Spanishes, and I was just like, oh wow, I just thought Spain was Spanish was just one linguistic, but no. Then it's just
different dialects.
Yeah, different dialects. Yeah, and I was just like, oh okay, it's just like we have English. You have somebody from Liverpool speaks totally different English to compare to somebody who's a Cockney down south, and Londoner. So the English is the same, but different dialects altogether. So yeah, that's how. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, how do you want to be remembered? Particularly when time for you to go has come, and what do you think, or how would what do you think people would be saying that you've been that type of person? How do you want to be remembered?
I think I want to be somebody that would be remembered, that people could use me as a testimony, and I saved people's lives, because I have been in certain situations that have not been pleasant in my personal life that I'm not proud of, or made me wiser and gain wisdom from that and look at life from a different outlook. I've been in situations that have tested my character on many avenues when I was younger, even till present. And everything is all about how you respond to it and how you deal with it, without anybody else knowing, because we all have problems regardless of what walks of life you come from and such. And I want to be in a position where I can save the younger generation, because sometimes I think the younger generation are in a phase where they seem to want to end trophies. So what I mean by trophies is like seeking getting acceptance and validation. Say, oh, look, I've done this, and Snapchat this, or I'm doing this and such. And then obviously to some people that may come across as being envious and such and such, or trying to show that but from the era where I'm from, the more you have, the less you don't need to show anything to say that okay, yes, I'm this type of person, because the life you live behind closed doors, that's the real you, not what you post on the internet. And I want to be in a position where like I can also inspire other people from that are less privileged than I am, that have got faith and that still believe in the dream of whatever it is that they want to achieve. Let it not be IT, let it just not just be trying to become an engineer. Even if you want to become a pilot, like regardless of however way you can do it, or however way you can get motivated to motivate the younger people, that's how I want to be remembered. Said, what, this person saved my life. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am. If it wasn't for him, or if he didn't help me with, give this speech about such and such, I wouldn't be the person I am. And I think there isn't any amount of money or any type of success. For me, that's why I call real success, because once you've saved a soul and you've saved a life, that is more important than any, because you cannot rejuvenate life, or you can't revive life once you've lost it. So it's better to save it while you still got it, while you still got So
very good. Any regrets in life?
No regrets. I don't live life regrets at all. None. Because I think when you got baggage of regrets to say, oh, I wish you did this, I think you sort of you can't live in the past. The past is for what it is, because without that, let's say if your way of wanting to do things went the way that you wanted to do it, you wouldn't be in the position where, because life could have turned out slightly different and it could have taken you down a different path. So I have zero regrets to nothing and nothing at all.
Right. Very good. Yeah, I like forward-thinking people. That yesterday is past. We learned. If we made a mistake, that was a mistake. It helped us to learn new things, new way of doing things. Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So if you had to give an advice to a young person who is trying to get into your career in IT, what would that be?
A younger version of me, what would I tell them? Do your research, know exactly what it is that you want to do, seek, attend if there's any like what do they call them, careers day or something like that, that that's around maybe at your local school or at a local center or whatever. And then if they're doing a recruitment drive, said, oh, we're looking for trainees that want to become IT support, whatever, we'll pay for your qualifications, but we'll also fund you. Maybe we'll pay you, because I think most apprenticeships pay when I was an apprentice, we were getting paid like £10,000 a year. No, then it moved up to 12,000. So anything below that, you don't get taxed. So let's say if I was speaking to somebody younger than me who were like 15, 16, I'd advise go down that route, because that way, if the university route is the route that you take, by all means, but just make sure you do your research, and then you also know that the degree that you're doing is value for money, because there's some degrees out there where I've seen a lot of my peers that were in my 20s where they did the best degree in computing and they're now working in recruitment, and then it just makes me look like, okay, was that degree. Now they're doing recruitment. Obviously, no offense to them, they're doing the thing, but make sure like you do your research and know that is your degree worth value for money. Do you have to go down the university route to do your training that you need to do? Or maybe you need to go down the vocational route where you do an apprenticeship, where you get your training, and then obviously they also pay for your qualifications. So as you're doing the job, you know the job that you're doing. So let's say you're doing server configuration and how to do cabling and knowing what a different RJ45. You're doing that on the job. So then therefore now when you go into the corporate world, that doesn't sound alienated. So you know that okay, I've done this role for 3-4 years. I've now like valued that okay, you can move, you can now do level 1 and level 2 IT support. So now your pay will jump from 22 to 24 to 26, 28,000 pounds depending on your experience. And then gradually as the experience goes on, now you move on to third line based on the exposure that you've had within that. Because from 4 years ago when you started, your experience has gone, and then also the sector itself has moved up at a high pace as well. So you've been now given exposure from an employment perspective, going up in your career as well. So that's one advice I'll give. Just like read, revise, and self-learning will teach you more than you would learn in a classroom. And that's one thing that I taught myself, because when you're driven to get up, you turn your laptop on or you get your book, you start reading, that that 20-10 minutes that you've given your attention pays off, because you think, oh, hang on a minute, this is what I learned. So just always research and ask. There's no in IT, there's no such thing as a stupid question. That's one thing I learned, and that's one advice I give here.
No.
There's no such thing as a because I remember there was we're having issues with the servers and such, and then somebody said, can we just not restart it? And I was like, you actually got a valid point. Did it restart? Everything else started running fine, and I was like, there's no such thing as a stupid question. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So any passions? Do you have any passion?
Yeah. I do a lot of I was a personal trainer, so I do exercises here and there. And the other thing is I also do a lot of flight simming as well. So in my free time I do a lot of flight simulation, so fly planes on my PC and whatnot. But so the goal is to, because I've got some friends that are actual pilots actually. I've got a friend of mine, I think he's just got made redundant for Etihad and Emirates. So they will give me advice, say, okay, if you want to go down this route, just obviously work towards what you're doing now, and then because obviously when the world goes back to normal again, there'll be a massive shortage of pilots. So then obviously from there you can go through the cadet program with different airlines. So I did before COVID, 2 years before COVID, I started doing applying for my PPO. So I applied for my cadet with EasyJet. I got accepted, and then obviously that got put on hold, and then due to COVID and whatever, and then everything just went out the window. So I thought, by the time I wait for the pandemic to pass over, I would have wasted 4 or 5 years of doing nothing and waiting for the vision. So that's how I ended up, kickstarting my career within IT. So hopefully once I get the PPO. So the PPO is a private pilot's license. So what that means is it's like a provisional driver's license for, and then from there you just gather your hours and then you just work your way up. So
right, very good.
Forever learning.
Yeah. That's how life is. You need to learn until the day they put you in the grave.
Oh, absolutely. I like that motto.
That's my motto,
Yeah.
Never stop learning, never stop exercising until they put you in the grave.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that one.
Yeah. So what has been the happiest time so far in your adult life?
The happiest time is I think my mindset of how I think and how I used to think and how I think now. And I think the mind is the most powerful tool that we have, that we usually take advantage of, because I think if you're mentally healthy, everything else falls into place. Because if you've got a healthy mind and healthy living habits of how you live, your mind will catch up. Because what we absorb is not just what we eat, and it's what we see, what we visualize, what we audialize, what we hear, and such and such. So our mind can block out certain things. So I think for me it was just reprogramming the way I think, and just having a different outlook on life and just everything. So, and that's what has put me in a position where I made a transition to uplift myself, to be in a position, okay, let me train myself, let me get back on my feet and do ABCD, and let me, be positive. So even that sometimes when, somebody always told me this at my previous employment, said, never take your work stress home. Home is a place of rest and peace. So whatever gives you peace, whatever you like doing, if it's you're doing your flight sim, it makes you happy, you do that.
Do it, yeah.
Do it. If it's going out training, exercising, if it clears your mind, you do that. As long as your mind is healthy, your body and everything else will follow.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You need a very, very healthy mind anyway.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing I would advise. Also, for the younger version, always make sure like you're around positive things and that keep your mind healthy no matter what. If you're around friends that was negative, talking about or family that's negative, always talking about things that just corrode your mind, cut them off. Even if they're family, cut them off. It's just you live longer being healthy, not just being healthy physically, it's mentally as well.
Your mind, yeah. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely, yes.
So now, on a scale of 0 to 10, how weird are you?
What type of question is this? Oh dear. I would say I think I'm normal, but fairly abnormal a little bit. I'll say 6.5.
6.5, eh?
Yeah, 6.5 of being a bit bizarre. Yeah, I can have my moments, so it's okay.
Yeah. So what are your weirdest things, and that makes you to go up to 6.5?
I didn't realize I was bipolar until my mother actually pointed it out. So I was like, "What do you mean bipolar?" I said, "1 minute you're high, you're high on it. The next minute you're grumpy, you want to murder." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And then I realized that when I was a bouncer and I was security, 1 minute I'll have a serious face. I don't want to talk to anybody. But as soon as someone talks to me, nice, tender person, lovely teddy bear. And then I'm like, "How do you got bipolar?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then I was like, everyone is saying this, I need to work on this, and then I was just like, that's just how I am. I can't tell who I am. That's, you understand? So, yeah. Yeah. And and the other thing is, I'm actually scared of heights, but I love flying. It's weird.
Right.
Yeah. It's strange. It's strange. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Here you are. So I think we are coming to the end of our interview this morning, or this afternoon, actually.
Afternoon, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a privilege, actually. We are so glad to have you, Denda, on Zunda channel. So your testimony or our discussion actually will go a long way to help young people who are trying to get into various careers, particularly those who want to get into IT, which is a field that you are in,
Yeah, absolutely. So
our goal is actually to make sure young people go to the careers, where with the informed, information, because I've seen a lot of young people who go to university to study for the dead degrees,
Yeah.
Which they just pack, I've been working for the bank, and I work for the bank, and that bank, I've seen engineers from aerodynamics, engineers from different parts of profession, coming to do simple jobs in the banks with their master's programs. So I was saying, why are these young people actually, coming to do this? They trained this. They spent 3-4 years in the university to study absolutely hard courses like aerodynamics and so forth. But now they're coming to do testing in a bank, which is a job of an untrained person, So that's how I became actually, interested to see if I can come up with this Zunda channel to see if I can help at least one person to learn. They can probably, get an informed decision on certain professionals before they.
Absolutely, Uncle Jackson. There, with what you just mentioned there, I've been a testimony of being through the educational old-fashioned system. Yeah. Been at it twice, and I've come out and said, hang on, this is not for me. I've gone through the vocational route. If somebody had told me, said, because all I knew when I was in college, go to uni, get a job, whatever. But then I realized, then there's one thing that I always used to tell my mother, said, Mom, look, our industry is not one of those where the degree that I'll have in 3 years' time, it will become vacant and useless when I start getting into the working world, because they will say, okay, what experience do you have? You say you can do that. All this theory paper it looks amazing, and you kill the interview. But now, if they were to hire someone from a university background, and then they've got me who actually does the job, I said, okay, can you tell me the difference between an RJ45 and such and such? Okay, can you tell me the difference between a Fortnite, and can you tell me the difference between this stuff? Okay, can you within Active Directory, where can I go to amend group policies and add such and such security policies? If I'm going to add a computer on the domain, what procedures do I need to take? And they'll be like, so it becomes now a situation of where even employers now, they're looking to hire somebody with experience, extreme experience, because hands-on experience is more valuable than qualification. So that's why I'm more than happy now to even sit down with youngsters that are sort of even to do public speaking in schools, to say, okay, there's other ways, there's other options, rather than going through the old traditional educational infrastructure, learning through that way. And there's a million ways of learning, and so that's why that's one of the greatest things I want to be remembered. So this person gave good advice, and I am why I am because of because there isn't many of us that can give that leading example. Say, I've been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and I'm actually living that life, and here are my credentials to actually show that I've done this. So yeah.
Exactly. No, thank you very much. That's actually very, very helpful.
You're welcome. Anytime, anytime. And thank you for having me. And hopefully, this is not the first and last either. So I'll be back for more.
Yeah, definitely. We'll arrange for more.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. No, thank you so much for having me. And yes, it's been a pleasure.